water, yeah, water, yeah, water, water, okay, water, what, water, drip, water, splash, water. I drip in your like water, drip. I splash on your the water, splash, water, 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 yeah, water, yeah, water, water, okay, water, what, water, drip, water, splash, water. I drip in your like water, drip. I splash on your the water, splash, water, water,
Oh
water,
my God.
water.
You know what it is. It's your girl, Shady Cartier, and
Cookie Monster.
yes, Mobius. You already know. You already know. The gang is back in here for, I don't know if this is episode 5 or episode 6 for the 2022, but it is the first official episode, I feel like, since our hiatus. Hey, we did not plan that. That just came out like that. But yeah, man, thank you for linking with me, man, for the August. We barely made it for the August. We barely made it.
Squeezing it in there.
It's big squeezing it in, but we're trying to make it happen. You know what I'm saying? We trying to get back. If you are somebody who is completely new to the laboratory, thanks for joining. Thanks for popping in. Please check out season 1 and definitely season 2. I feel like halfway through season 1 and definitely season 2 is like our best work. And so, but all of it I feel like is very good points, very educational, and if you don't know nothing else, we all about the brown community. So we're just giving you a little dab of what's popping in the streets of our favorite hobby, gaming, and how it pertains to us. And just talking about real shit, everyday shit you can't ignore, because this world is crazy and it's constantly evolving. So
should we do like a recap of
a recap? We already did the episode.
No, I mean just like personally what we've been up to.
Where we've been. Oh, okay. Since the last episode, what has Mobius been doing? So July to August.
We went to see Incubus.
Oh my goodness. Yes, we went to see Incubus. That was completely amazing. Like, shout out to I guess whoever does the set list, because I feel like it was perfectly blended with music I never heard before and music I absolutely loved, and then new stuff that I never heard before. And it was a perfect blend. I love it. And shout out to Mobius for even setting it up. Like, it was, I've loved Incubus since I started buying CDs in the mail. Okay, I'm trying to date this very carefully. CDs in the mail, dated, honey. So either you know about CDs in the mail or you don't. And I feel like
before Hot Topic there was Sam Goody.
Before Hot Topic, those are two completely different things. But yes, Sam Goody.
Like for me, it would be before there was GameStop. There was EB Games.
Oh wow, this guy. Yes.
Oh
dated.
no, I'm sorry. Funko Land.
Oh my goodness. But there was a whole EB Games thing. That was like, yeah.
Like used games,
but that was still old. It's still very dated. If you know EB Games, dated. If you know fucking Funko Land, that is crazy. Mobius is old, but he's not as old as I am. So anyway, thank y'all for banging with the laboratory. Where have I been in this 30 days? We saw Incubus on Friday night, and then on Saturday, me and sis went to see The Weeknd. So it was flipping crazy. Shawty was really stressed out with little to no sleep, but I was vibing for 48 hours. I was vibing. I finally got home to my baby on Sunday and was like, I love you. So this summer, that it's definitely been a summer to remember. And so shout out definitely to my brother and my sister for for making that happen. Like, it was something I literally was looking forward to for months, going out with my sister. And then Mobius pulled up in June, like, want to see Incubus? I was like, ah! Like, it was so crazy. And Incubus is so old. The lead singer, he was so gray. It was like, but he's so cute. He's so sexy always. I don't even remember his name, but he is just everything for real. But I was just like, oh my gosh, he is so old. I am so old. Like, it was a bunch of, no, fuck Young, fuck everything. I almost forgot. Who opened up for Incubus?
Sublime.
Oh my
We caught the
goodness.
second half of their set.
Yeah,
It was pretty tight.
yo, we definitely got there a little late, and definitely I didn't even realize it was Sublime. Like, this the thing about Sublime. You know their songs and you don't even know it's them. It is so crazy. I don't even know what the band looks like. I don't think. All I know is that sun. The sun logo. Like, what are you talking about? Like, everybody knows it. So I'm gonna officially getting a Sublime t-shirt from Target, from Target. And I was like, you know what? It matched my Ewans, my Patrick Ewans super lime green joint. So I'm like, okay, I'm definitely gonna get the Sublime shirt because I saw him in concert. I couldn't even believe that Sublime was opening up for Incubus. But I
That's
figured,
interesting.
yeah, I thought that was extremely interesting. But I think maybe because Incubus got more like a continuous set of music versus Sublime is more like, I don't think they have any new music the last couple of years. But don't get me the line, I ain't look it up. So yeah, I feel like that's been like the highlight of my whole summer, pretty much. Free Brody. Brody's out. Our youngest brother. He back in the streets. You know what I'm saying? So
Knucklehead.
that's definitely a blessing that he back out here. He was falsely accused and was sitting in jail for over 2 months for a crime that not only did he not commit, but they kept lying and saying they had evidence that he committed a crime, and he most absolutely didn't. So free to Brody. We happy that he out. We gonna spoil him. We gonna get him right. I was looking at the cruises that we took, Trap Star Polo, on a few years ago, and now they're 21 and up only, and they're $65 per person. So I was like, damn, well, I can't even take them because now they basically turned them into booze cruises. That's like all the rave now is the booze cruises. And so, yeah, they didn't have any family friendly options. So I'm going to have to figure that out. But you already know what it is, Brody. If you ever hear this, just know.
We're going to the beach.
Yeah, we going to the beach. We going to hold you down. We going to show you. Yeah, we going to get you back. All this shit that you missed out on. Because shouldn't nobody be incarcerated for something that they didn't do. So shout out to everybody, all the activists doing prison reform. Shout out to you. Anything other than the Incubus concert you want to add about how's your summer been going? Or
I mean,
I guess July to August.
When we came back, I had just came back from Mexico. We did the first episode.
Yeah.
So since then, it was just Incubus. I freaking crashed my car right the day of that show, so that sucked. But
Yeah, I actually didn't. I didn't know if you wanted to bring it up. That was some hardcore rock type shit. Mobius crashed the Acura John. The what? Your car? That's an SUV, right?
Yeah.
He crashed the Acura SUV John, and then we was like waiting on the tow truck. Like, this tow truck better hurry up because we got a rock concert to get to. Like, that shit was hardcore,
Get to the gig, bro.
Like, that shit was so hardcore. So that shit was lit. But the situation sucks. But if you don't know, now you know. Go back to, I think it's probably the second season, where I was talking about reading the fine print. We got an episode where we tell you to read the fine print. I briefly but in-depthly go over my car insurance policy at the time and how important it is. I can't say it no quicker, no faster, and no better way. Always read the fine print. Pay attention to whatever you are signing. You are giving your rights over once you put your signature over. So do not take it lightly. When you sign your John Hancock when you write your flipping name, you will be held to those standards if a motherfucker think they can get a check. Know that. All day, every day. This is the country of lawsuits. This is the climate for lawsuits like crazy. I ain't never heard of so many black people filing lawsuits in my life since COVID. Look, fuck trying to get the comeuppance. Niggas is tired of letting shit happen to us and thinking we ain't got no rights. Lawyers is now realizing that the long, hard game is the motherfucking game. Because everybody knows you get a lawsuit, you're not going to get paid tomorrow. But the long, hard game, yeah, that's how you get that long-term cash. So, but Mobius, all right, that's what's most important for me. Happy that he's good and everything. You in the you doing the rehab, but you're not gonna do that.
Nah,
you good, you straight. All right, so make sure you get your PIP. Make sure you get your missed work compensation. All of that. You know what I'm saying? Shit, we can't be taking super L's. So anyway, all right. So I guess that's it. We gonna get straight into it. So this episode is really important to me. Wow, it's crazy how I got to touch on another episode that we did. So I wouldn't even say this is a part 2. We did an episode called Water is Life, I believe, also season 2. Go back and check that out. Really important. What we were touching on, I think we was in the bottom of the ocean on the virtual reality on that episode, and we were touching on the coral reefs and what we learned about the coral reefs and how important they are and how endangered the coral reefs are. And more than anything, how that is affecting us. And so this episode basically could be Water is Life part 2, but this is really shit. It's about like the more extreme aspects. So that's like just
under the water stuff, and this is on the land stuff.
Yeah,
this is what affects us.
Yeah, I like the way you put that. Say it one more time.
The last episode was under the water stuff, coral reefs, and how that affects us, and what that means for nature, and what that means for us, down the road. But this is more so what affects us now, which it's everything from the flooding that's been happening, everything that's happening with the droughts and the water in Michigan and the water in DC and pipes and stuff, the water in Jackson, Mississippi and stuff like that, like all that's super important. So that's what we're going to get into today.
Yeah, literally water is life, and this is not something that we can continue to ignore. And I gotta say that whole getting rid of the EPA, this whole what is this shit where we just pretend like climate change is not a fucking thing, like that whole thing, like that shit is BS. It's fake news, right? It's like we've been avoiding all that shit just to put us in a situation where we are now having to dig ourselves out of this hole. So I want to start off by getting into some facts. If you know us from season 1, then you already know. Fact check. No fake news. Hey, and if I lied to you, it's because I was sold lies first. You already know how we do. The Master of Nothing. Shout out to Aziz Ansari for that show, actually. Master of None. A hilarious, very odd show. But we are the masters of nothing. But motherfucker, research with Google is my friend. So anyway, all right. So did you know that the earth is about 95% water?
Me? Yes.
No. I mean, I think I said that earlier, but I wasn't absolutely sure. I had to look it up. And so you would think that it's completely infinite. Unfortunately, only 3% of that water is fresh, drinkable water. So that's freaking crazy. The rest of it being salt water. And of course, I remember growing up hearing about like the Dead Sea. There's like so much salt in it. If you drink it, you'll die. Like it was a whole thing. And so it's absolutely crazy. I do have something funny to say. Is water wet? So I never actually watched that documentary, and I don't know really what it's about. I'm guessing that they're talking about water at the molecular level, but it just sounds so funny. Is water wet? So, 5 interesting facts about water, I guess.
Water.
Most fresh water is in ice. So I think so when I first started hearing about, oh, we ain't got so much water as far as like cities and stuff that's going without water. And I think Husbando, I think I might have mentioned this on Twitch. I was going to do this episode with Husbando. He's very passionate about the water. And I told him, I was like, well, why don't we just go get some ice from Alaska and bring, or the North Pole, and bring it down here and distribute it? And he's like, well, water is expensive to move and like all this and that. At the end of the day, that's not like the best viable solution anyway, because guess what? They told us that the polar caps are melting anyway.
At tremendous levels, yeah.
At tremendous rates. So, like, we're already running out of water. But, I mean, if we need water to drink, then, that was my, like, knowing nothing. Here's me with random bright ideas. So yes, most of the fresh water is in the ice. Let's see. The amount of salt in salt water varies. A lot can live in one drop of water. I think that's very cool to think about. A lot of, I don't even know what to call them, species, I guess microorganism and microscopic species
Microboys
live in water, like in a drop of water at that. That sounds absolutely crazy. Let's see. Some water may have come from comets. I heard something about like
the ice that, yeah, because space is cold.
Right, that of Queen, the band, is an astrophysicist, and he wrote a book about essentially stardust, and he had said something about water being, the center of, I don't know, stars or comets, but also how what our bodies are made out of is the same contents of a star or stardust in the universe. I was about to say in the sky, in the in space. So anyway, so I think that's really cool. Shout out to you got the lead singer's name or founder? My bad.
Brian May.
Brian May, that's the astrophysicist, right? Yeah, Brian May. So shout out to him. I'm not really into that whole thing. Of course, you would have to believe in like the Big Bang Theory, I feel like, to really kind of get along with what he's talking about. But I think it's very cool. I heard about the book when he described it, and even though he used a lot of big words that I don't know what they all meant, I understood
Pythagorean theorem.
The point. It was so funny when he was doing the interview. They were like, so I need you to say that again, but in layman's terms. So yeah, shout out to Queen all day in the paint. And
he is 75 now. Still kicking.
He is old.
Old man status.
Other stuff you should already know in school, that our bodies are mostly made of water. That ice floats. Like, you should definitely already know that. All right, so pretty mediocre shit. Water facts, pretty much. But I just wanted to, spit a little bit of knowledge out there for those who are completely lost out here in the streets before getting into the fact that it's 2022, and guess what? Water is leaving. They talking about it's only like 75% of the water left in the world. I don't know if this is true. They talking about we going through droughts all over the world. Yeah. The world is ending. I'm like, look, the water is leaving. Water said, you niggas is ungrateful. All you do is spill poison into me, eat all my friends in the ocean, and yeah, you causing me problems. So if Mother Nature is gonna get back, well, she has found the most appropriate opportunity and approach to get at our ass, because if there's no more fresh water, then we cannot survive. So yeah, about that. The world is in absolute shambles. Here in the United States, we're dealing with the water crisis currently. I don't know how old this is, like maybe a few days old that this has been happening, the water crisis in Jackson, Mississippi. But I know it was explained that something about this is one of those political issues that has been neglected by the locals in power there. More to Mobius on this story.
So we already know about Flint, Michigan. They're still dealing with everything they've been dealing with. Whatever money went towards that, whatever aid was supposed to go towards that, whatever deals were met, hasn't really helped them. They're still kind of dealing with that.
Is that the same thing that's going on with Mississippi, or?
It's the pipes, more or less, basically, yeah. This is Jackson, Mississippi, as of a couple of days ago. It's a couple hours ago, too. CNN, let's see. The water crisis in Jackson, Mississippi has gotten so bad that the city has temporarily run out of water to give to residents.
Mm-hmm.
This is bottled water we're talking about.
Damn.
And of course, that means FEMA and the president, all the federal agencies got to get involved to start distributing water and giving them aid, which means it's probably a state of emergency if it hasn't already been declared.
Yeah. So they declared the state of emergency. I think it was like last week. It was the day, like a day before, they said that there will be little to no more water coming out of the pipes into your home.
Uh-huh.
And then so now, again, I think it's been like a week now, and now they're saying that the state doesn't have water, bottled water to give out. Like, it's crazy. If it's only been a week or how many days and they already don't have drinking water, it's insane. Go ahead.
All this was right after a huge flood that they had, with the rising of the river in Mississippi. Just it's gotten pretty significantly bad.
It's extreme.
Mm-hmm.
You just had a flood. Now you in a drought.
It's back to back too. Like, come on.
That sounds absolutely crazy. Maybe they don't have enough wells, because if there were floods, then there should be plenty of groundwater. But do they not utilize wells in Mississippi? Like, I don't know anything about that, but just speculating. That's really sad though. So prayers going out to everybody in Mississippi, but everybody in the country, like, that's going through this, like, right now. Like, this is life and death.
It's not just to them.
Yeah.
That kind of brings me toward what's happening in Africa, what's been happening in Africa for years now, which is the countdown to day 0, which is when the taps run dry in anywhere, but in this case, it's specifically talking about Cape Town, South Africa, and in the Nelson Mandela Bay. That whole area is going to run dry. And they've been trying to avoid it by banning use of non-essential waters and stuff. You're starting to see that happen in pretty much everything west of Texas.
Yeah, I remember growing up and hearing, and I don't know if it was like on The Simpsons or wherever, but hearing that, like, California got so bad when we was younger that they were getting fined for watering their lawn.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Golf courses, all that stuff. That
shit is not important. That shit is not important. Another thing that a conversation I had with husbando was like water parks. I saw something like a few years ago.
Those are gonna go extinct.
And it's probably last year or the year before, but like saying how much water do water parks use, and that's psychotic. Like, I absolutely love water parks, and I would hate for my daughter to grow up in a world where there are no water parks, but it uses so much water.
Beef.
Just wasted. And so I posed this, what about having saltwater parks? But the biggest problem is the contamination. It's like, how do we clean it? It's not, like the clean water we're using, and then we're contaminating it with bleach to cleanse the water that is also doing damage to our bodies. But anyway, the salt water seems like it'll be safer. Of course, salt water is not clear, and I know people enjoy the excitement of dealing with clear water, but I don't know. That's just an idea. Salt water.
Either that, or you'd only have to do it. You'd have to build them specifically around the edges of
Oceans.
coastlines and oceans
Yeah.
and stuff, or just do it on cruises only. That's kind of the only thing you can really do.
Yeah, the salt water slides and all of
It's
that.
it's always been a, what's the word I'm looking for? Not a
Expensive or
privilege.
took a toll? Oh yeah, definitely a privilege.
Not a privilege. It's yeah. Okay, so it's
I
always been
mean,
a,
if we look at the fact that the world has been in a drought for the last 25 years. At the very least, whoever's been alive for the last 25 years has been indulging in a privilege, whether they realize it or
not.
not.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're,
Living in Las Vegas is a privilege. Living
oh
pretty much
yes.
everywhere west of, unless you're in the Pacific Northwest, living everywhere west of Texas is a privilege at this point.
Yeah, because it seems like it's so
water,
down bad.
Yeah, all those
Yeah.
people pay for their water, sure, but that water's coming from Colorado
Somewhere else.
and elsewhere and
Yeah.
stuff like that, and they are running out of water too.
Yeah, the
Like,
natural
natural
springs.
spring,
And
yeah.
so, yep.
The Hoover Dam's about to become very irrelevant shortly. Like,
Yo, and I thought, wasn't a Hoover Dam like a power source?
yeah, it,
Oh
it
my
powers
goodness.
everything west of Texas.
That's, yeah. I mean, oh my goodness. The country is in shambles. And I hope, as somebody in the brown community, I would say I've been saying, let me not say it like I continue to say this, but definitely it's taken a few years, living next to a water tower. It's taken me a few years to understand,
Why that's there.
no, that we are really dealing with a water crisis. And to come to terms with, I can't abuse water like just because I can.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't pay for water. I don't have a water bill. So how much water I use doesn't mean shit to me. Or at least it didn't mean shit to me. And now I'm thinking like, okay, like this is unacceptable. The whole world's running out of water and look at me steady wasting the shit. Like, at the end of the day, like this is not going to work. Something has to change. So, we got to pay attention to what's going on. And it's getting to the point where it can't be ignored. Like, I feel like there's a lot of black people in Mississippi who are being affected by this situation. And I feel like being, states away from this situation, we might not be concerned. Locals on the other side of the country or many states away may not be concerned. But what they say, when the Nazis come knocking at your neighbor's door, if you don't say nothing then, what's going to stop them from knocking at your door next?
Mm-hmm.
So, same situation. We can ignore it and we can pretend like it's all good. But again, I did not realize that we've been dealing with droughts in not just in the United States, but in the whole country for 25 years. Like, that sounds absolutely crazy. It sounds crazy. Like, it seems like this is all very brand new for people who ain't really been paying attention, for people who don't own farms or work in the water industry. I would say, like, how would you know that you are affected by what's going on? Because we think that we can just go to the store and purchase water, and they can't even do that.
Nope.
Like that, that's crazy. It's bad enough we're already wasting water on plastic.
Yeah.
And then finding out that plastic is killing us,
Yep.
cancer, etc. Like,
Microplastics appearing in places that they've never been, in places like Antarctica and stuff like that.
the damn
Greenland, stuff like that.
microplastics.
The amount of water used to clean beef. Back to the water parks.
Don't bring beef. Don't bring beef into this. Me and Mobius be beefing literally over beef.
Beef. Where's the beef? I like beef, but man, like cutting down on how often you eat it's gonna gonna be a big deal. You know, this is stuff they're talking about when they're talking about banning red meats, and
Yeah.
it's not good for you, and how much water it's used to clean it and all that stuff. Like it's a big deal, you know. But anyway,
Yeah.
so but before I forget, I want to circle back towards I forgot what we were talking about earlier, but
Well, we went to touch on the fact that Flint is still going through things.
Yeah,
It's
I said that.
2022. They said something about the two firms. They're trying to figure out what two firms. I guess they're gonna prosecute in regard to the or name in the lawsuit. I don't know. Either one of those things in regard to the lead incidents that's been happening in Flint for a while now. I mean, several years. I don't remember how many years this goes back. I want to say at least 5 years. Like this, it's Flint has been. They have been going through it. Like it's ridiculous. And then the next thing was the no water in Cape Town, Africa. You got that one. So tell me about that. Well, you said something about day 0 or something.
Yeah,
like what's going on? Because I know they have problems getting water across the continent. And that they do deliver their water on trucks. I've definitely seen stuff over the years where the water truck will have water, but then they'll come to the town. If people don't pay the money that they want, they just keep moving to another town.
It's that's when you got to start talking about like militias and stuff, because you know some of those get intercepted by pirates and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, their natural source of water has been running out, and they've been cutting, similar to what's happening here. They've been cutting down on non-essential use. You know, that's when you start talking about like a couple years ago, before I had moved, we had some pretty significant, not a drought, but just like pipes had broke or something, and then the water companies would come around and check your water meter to see how much you used for that day, and then until the pipes were fixed, they'd be monitoring every house in the area. And so if you started taking a shower, like a abnormally long shower, or you were watering your lawn or something, and they came out, they'd give you a fine. That's what's happening there.
What?
Now,
you experienced that?
Nobody came to our house, because we just, all right, cool, just turn the water off and just wait it out.
That's crazy.
But stuff. So that's on the East Coast. That's happening here. On the West Coast, it's happening because they are actually running out of water.
Like dead ass.
In Africa, they've run out of water already, and now they're just trying to mitigate until the day 0, which they've been doing pretty well. The day gets pushed back further and further and further, but at some point,
day 0 means there's absolutely no water nowhere. Period.
Yeah, which means you'll
to be transported.
Everybody will have to leave that area. Probably.
Yo, and this shit is so sick, knowing how many countries inhabit and make money off of Africa as a continent, honey. So many countries making money off of it. Like for the Swiss, I mean, and I talked about this when it had happened. I'm pretty sure it's season 2 also. When the whole president of one of the countries in Africa was looking at the Swiss like, what? We not gonna keep giving you all of this free cocoa. We not doing it. Like, we're over. We're done. You claim that we owed you for this, and that. You robbed us for years and years. Okay, we over that shit. We don't need it, because everybody think the best chocolate in the world come from the Swiss.
Yep. That's
a fucking joke. Where did the Swiss get the cocoa beans? Africa. The best chocolate in the world come from the motherland. Shout out to the mole. I don't even know.
I finally sat down and watched Blood Diamond, and that's...
Oh my goodness.
That's a hard movie to sit down and really think about what that means for the greater, situation of things.
And is that okay? And the aspect of the Blood Diamond is about the countries or corporations that are secretly having people mine for the diamonds and get them out the country without paying any homage to Africa. Or so that's
and what that means. All your fresh Nikes or whatever, and the slave labor that's used to make those are in factories. At least all they got to do is just put the material together. it's still not okay, but no one's going to war over that. Whereas armed camps of people were literally kidnapping people and going, hey, you got arms and legs, you can work, go dig a hole until you die.
Yeah, like that shit. Yep. Yeah, but it's the same thing that was going on with the mines in the United States of everybody needing what the minerals, whatever you're finding, whatever the usage is coming out of this mining work. Everybody is using it and it's benefiting so many people, yet it's unregulated and so many other people are dying as a result. That this is not okay. Yeah, it's really crazy. I didn't even know about what was going on in Africa, so that makes me definitely sad about that. Let's see. So I found the article. It was very surprising. It was very surprising. I didn't realize how many countries, how many states all at once, or all right around the corner, is dealing with floods. So I'm getting this information from U.S. News. The article titled "Torrential Rains Last Southern U.S. as Millions Under Flood Warnings." Meteorologists issue warnings for more than 13 million people in Northeast Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, New Mexico, and Arizona. All of this was released August 22nd. All of this is happening while there's no water in Mississippi. This is absolutely crazy. This is why I brought up, why can't we move no water on a truck from one place to the other? You got too much water, move it over there to the place with no water. It literally doesn't make any sense. I need a long ass pump hose that goes 5 states over so we could get the water from over here to the people over there. I ain't got the money, I ain't got the answers. Anyway, millions of Americans are under flood warnings after heavy rain this weekend in a large portion of the south and southwestern U.S., where high water submerged vehicles in Texas and swept hikers in Arizona off their feet. Yeah, during a flood is not the time to be hiking or what is called hitchhiking. it's not the time. Backpacking. No, this is not gonna work. On Monday, rains across the drought-stricken Dallas-Fort Worth area caused streets to flood, submerging vehicles as officials warned motorists to stay off the roads, and water seeped into some homes and businesses. I do remember a week or two ago when we had flood warnings here on the East Coast almost every day for a week. I got the alert on my phone. Yeah. Even in the days where it wasn't even raining that hard, it was some part of the state, was.
That was an issue they had fixed years before. The little, you remember by the county
little white joints
the build
on
that,
the outside
that big building
on the curb.
Yeah, they had built those barricades up.
Oh, okay.
Instead of just using sandbags, they built those barricades up. That was years ago, and
wow.
then they had redug where the fish and stuff is, that little pond that you could walk across. That's a really popular biking hiking trail. Okay. They dug a new, I guess, a pipe down there so that the water could properly flow and drain the way it's supposed to. It's supposed to stay because it got fish in there and stuff. So it's supposed to keep a certain level of water, but once it exceeds that, it's supposed to drain into somewhere else. But the golf course closing, back in 2011, there was nowhere to keep it maintained, and so all that kept getting blocked and sewage and all that stuff happened. So they had. So
the golf course was helping by holding some of the water, or
there's somebody to maintain it. The water goes from the county administration building all the way to the golf course, all the way out to the little lakes and swampy area, or vice versa. That area would come back to the pond. It flows the way it's supposed to.
Right.
But they've been closed for 10 years.
Yes, so the golf course,
even though they did all that stuff by the county administration building, which is miles from where the golf course is. It's still backing up.
Yeah, of course.
And so they dug out that whole area all the way around.
10 years of not having that of a neglected golf course. I mean, what do you expect? What do you expect? It's absolutely crazy.
What are we doing? Yes.
It's absolutely crazy. So the golf course now looks like a forest. Yeah, because it's hot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's crazy. It's like issues. If you don't make preparation, and so that's, honestly, when you think about the purpose of a government, whether it's local government or country government, the purpose is so they can think about all of this shit, save money for it, and plan accordingly. What the fuck are these politicians doing with the money? Eating good.
Pocketing it.
Steak and lobsters. G5s. Elon Musk. Catching flights.
Elonius Musk.
Elon Musk, that's living your best life. Like, you're doing everything but what is necessary and vital that needs to be done. Like, it's ridiculous. Anyway, so shout out to half of the United States who is getting flooded, and then the other places that have absolutely no water at all. Like, I'm really praying on these, everybody that's involved. I'm praying for the people who are stuck in the floods. I'm praying for the people who are in these droughts right now. I mean, I always say that, if I had a lot of money, I would. And I've only seen it on the housewives. Of course, they're probably just doing it for clout, or have foundations that they're doing their taxes through to get out of paying them high ass taxes because they make over $1 million a year. Like, we know what it is. We poor, but I know the game. You know what I'm saying? So, whether they doing it for show or not, that's something I would do. I saw them on the show. They would like go to the store and buy a whole bunch of shit, make up little bags, and take it to where it needs to be and hand them joints out.
It just means that we will have to change our lifestyle significantly across the board, not just if you're in the con US, you're chilling. If you're in the East Coast, you're chilling. No, because
this shit's happening all over the world.
It's 2022, right? So 100 years ago was the Roaring '20s. That meant Black Friday. That meant the Dust Bowl, where the dust and the droughts from Texas and the Midwest were. You could see that shit from space, probably. All that shit was popping over all the way over to the East Coast. Like, there's newspaper. Let me look it up real quick. There's reports of it being so dusty that people just wouldn't leave their house. It was affecting people's health and stuff like that. Dust Bowl. It's and it went on for a couple years. That was, to correct, it's the 1930s.
Okay.
But it was the
it's
U.S.
It's still a long ass time ago.
It's most yet. Of North America, which means U.S. and Canada. They had to. All those pictures from your textbooks of that one lady and her kids, and they looked super sad as hell.
And dry as fuck.
Yeah. That's what that people are like. People are complaining about COVID and wearing masks and stuff. People had to wear masks just to go outside.
Because of the damn dust.
You know,
that's a scary thing, to be like nervous or afraid of dust. Like, that is that bad.
But how we see that what happened to us 100 years ago, a little under 100 years ago, that's what's happening in places like China with their smog, and parts of Los Angeles on heavier days with the smog, and in parts of New York, all that's what's happening on the daily already, which is why you see those crazy reports of Chinese people buying bottled air from places like Canada.
I ain't never seen that shit. Mobius gonna look at me sideways when he say that shit.
It's
like,
a thing.
What you know about that bottled air?
It's a bottled.
I know about OnlyFans, and if you get some air from OnlyFans,
water,
it's not gonna be what you think.
It's bath water.
No, it's farts.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
bath water too. But I said air. This girl is jarring farts. Get your money. Get it how you live. Anyway.
Getting back on topic now. Yeah. So, we've talked about the droughts. We've talked about how most of the world's catching hell for the lack of water. and now we're gonna talk about a little bit about how it's catching hell by the excess of water, starting with South Korea. Earlier this month in August, specifically on the 8th, large-scale floods hit the capital of South Korea, Seoul, and the surrounding areas. It was preceded by the highest rainfall in 80 years, and 2,800 buildings have been damaged,
Wow.
and at least 9 people have been killed,
Oh,
and 160 people have been made homeless. All this is from Wikipedia, and you can look at everything on CNN and Wikipedia and all the other websites and stuff. But something like that happened in China earlier this year too. Like, can you? And then sometimes it happens in New York, especially during Sandy. But some of the crazier floods they've had, sometimes it happens in DC.
Well, New York is different because they're floating. Like,
yeah, but I mean, it's the same thing.
I mean, they have steam coming out the ground because it's too much going on.
But the same thing happened in DC, where parts of the city and the parts of the metro were just inaccessible.
Mm-hmm.
A part of the tunnel had collapsed. I think it was due to one of their tunnels had collapsed due to heavy rainfall. I think, but it was closed down for like 2 months. So all this is happening, and
in the places you least expect it.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I mean, what you're saying about it is true, but DC is built on swampland. So of course it's I read somewhere that the not the monument specifically, but all of the monuments around the tidal basin, they're sinking. Like the whole area is just sinking.
Yeah, they've been saying that for years.
Yeah, and what do they got to do to fix everything? Yada yada yada. So that's happening. All this water, all the flooding that's happening. Cities are gonna get real about it. They're talking in New York specifically. They're talking about building that storm wall. They've already done it, like a light version of it, but now they're talking about extending New York, specifically Manhattan, further out into the water, and putting less buildings there, but more trees and stuff. And that way, instead of just water, land, it's water. Some foliage, some grasslands, some parks and stuff.
Yeah, okay.
To slow
some
down
growth
the water,
to make it, yeah.
The reefs, the natural reefs that we've built all the way up on the last 80 years, that was all natural and protected the shores and stuff, giving that back to nature. But in this case, it'd be man-made. Either way, it's something that they got to figure out, because they will suffer from another Sandy if that happens.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like that was more New Jersey, but I don't know.
They all suffered. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Sandy was pretty bad.
Yeah,
it tore up Tom's River. Yeah, it's the too much water and the lack thereof is right around the corner.
Going off of that, so. A slab of ice from Greenland will raise sea levels by about 10 inches. It broke off. It's referred to as zombie ice.
Wow.
or doomed ice, which is by definition it's saying one that is not accumulating fresh snow even while continuing to be a part of the parent ice sheet. It's basically doomed to melt away, guaranteeing that the sea levels will rise.
Damn.
And so Greenland is the big staging area right now for a lot of interesting things that'll be happening in the next 20 years, because with it being there, all that ice that was up there is melting. That means waterways will become more navigable. It also means that anything crazy that happened in the last 100, 200 years, having been frozen over, which means bacteria and whatever else might be up there, all that stuff's going to melt. And the waterways will increase, sure, but all that stuff that's been frozen for 200-300 years, that stuff's going to come back out. And that's going to be a problem.
Oh, you mean like that crazy sea creature that H.P. Lovecraft wrote about? That's living in the ice up there, that was frozen in the ice age, and now he's going to come out.
The Megalodon, the Kraken, Loki, all of them.
Loki's coming for that ass.
They coming back.
Nah, but on some real shit though. Okay, so what does Greenland do with their trash? Because if they bury it, and it becomes overrun with water, like wherever they bury it. I don't know if it's filled up, if it's ground, whatever. The contamination is going to spread.
Yeah,
it's
already spread. I mean, I love my country, but man, we've done irreparable damage.
Some fucked up shit
to the world's health.
Yeah,
everything from the great
Dollar Trees,
the great ocean. What is it? The Great Plastic Patch or whatever it's called. Hang on,
the river of trash and plastic that's in the ocean.
The Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Mm-hmm. It's
that's just it.
It's a surface area of about 16 million square kilometers, or twice the size of Texas, or 3 times the size of France.
No, twice the size of Texas, bro.
Big old Texas. There's a bunch of companies and independent organizations out there trying to clean it up, and they're doing.
We did shout out to one of them on the Water is Life episode. Because I found out about the flip flops that they make out of plastic that they find in the ocean. So, shout out to those guys one more time. But also anybody who's replicating the idea. Like it's great to be first, but like come on, if you have any idea and your product can be made out of plastic, please consider it.
3D printing.
Yeah, please consider it. We got to do something. We have to make a change. We have to. It's shit's only getting worse. Okay. So, any more stories you want to touch on before we start the blame game?
I think that's it.
So, time for the blame game. I already pointed out who I feel like is definitely a lot to blame. These politicians, the people whose responsibility is to help us pre-plan this shit whilst they hold their hands out and request tax money. You know, like we're supposed to be giving them the tax money to spend on things like this to make sure that there's a contingency plan in place for, I mean, at least the disasters that we know have been happening for hundreds of years. Like, damn, ain't nobody telling you to come up with some new shit. But the shit that's going on in Mississippi, like all this old dirty pipes, the water facilities, treatment facilities should have been replaced a long time ago. It's falling apart, it's breaking. Like, all of this shit is crazy. What are you doing with the tax money? Like, how many years and how much money do y'all motherfuckers want to keep playing the same old games and playing with people? And then when are these people going to get prosecuted appropriately? Like, that's, you know, I can't. It's the never ending circle. And so, on with the blame game. I want to reference the End Time Bible Preachers. I believe that's what their YouTube channel is called. But I couldn't find them. It was 2 preachers from, I don't know, like maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I saw their channel. 2 preachers, and they would talk about all the natural disasters, and they would just put Bible quotes next to the shit, like, well, y'all out here playing, because in the Bible it said it's going to be great floods. In the Bible it said, and it's like, I almost feel like I couldn't even find any more recent videos. When I looked up when I Googled the End Time Bible Preachers, it took me to their website. So shout out to them and their website, and please check it out. Even if you don't believe in God, even if you think it's complete nonsense, they have pointed out so many disasters, and it's still up to date. So even if they don't have any new YouTube videos, their website is very active. One of the posts I saw was as recent as today. And then another one, August 22nd. And so I definitely, shout out to them for just compiling the information. Like, I don't think any one priest, pastor, person who claims to have a relationship with God and be a higher up elder, like whatever you want to call them, I don't think anyone necessarily has like all of the answers and the understanding and is ever 100% right. But you got to take into consideration one statement that was made on their website, and I guess not a statement, it was a question. Is God creating all of these natural disasters as a punishment? Or is this the doing of the elite? Like, straight up, is this the 1%? Are we just all suffering from the repercussions, suffering the repercussions of the 1% and the choices that they've made? Like, is this it? Like,
Probably.
I mean, listen, I always think it's a 50-50, right? I feel like, we know God is going to do what he's gonna do. I don't think he's gonna just like generally punish the whole world until Armageddon happens. And so I feel like up until Revelations, it's us doing, everything bad happens to us. It's kind of like it's a consequence of humanity. So whether it's your fault or your neighbor's fault or your neighbor's fault or your father or your grandfather or your children to come, whether, it's I don't think it's like God's hand necessarily, let me punish you right now. But again, I'm not a preacher or a pastor. I'm just trying to use a little bit of common sense along with, my theological beliefs. And so it's really hard not to point the finger at the politicians. And who are the politicians? They're supposed to be the wealthiest ones or the ones with the most power. Who is paying the politicians? The 1%. So even if the 1% are not into politics, like they own a business or they have someone seated, whether it's in their local government or in the very larger scale federal government or political government, they are there to do the bidding of this 1%. And it is not affecting us positively. At the end of the day, if you have all the money in the world, why would you be concerned if someone said that everybody else was running out of water? Why would you be concerned when you got endless money to buy more? You got the money to go catch a flight dead ass to Alaska, grab a block of ice, take it back to your bunker in California, and just wait for the ice to melt and be looking around like,
sucks for you guys.
Yo, like, real talk, if the earth only has 3% of fresh water, like, first of all, what was the percentage before now? Whoever said is that it's only 3% left. You know what I'm saying? And who took those percentages and what did they fucking do with it? But then also, at what point do we not expect that one of those percentages will literally disappear? And listen to this, Stefan. From 1% survivalists. Mm-hmm. So I'm saying there are few survivalists out there who are a part of the 1%, who have the most money in the world.
Who knew this was coming for the
who knew or planned or even thought about it for 2 seconds. If I was one of those billionaires, trillionaires, yeah, I'm gonna go snatch me some ice caps. Like, I don't know what the fuck you talking about. Like, I'm gonna have land all over the world in the highest of places, and I'm gonna make sure that I got me some ice caps chilling there. So whenever I need to go to my house in this country, that country, like, I'm ready and prepared, and I'm not concerned about everybody else. Cause they ain't got the bag, they ain't my kids, and I don't know them like that. Anyway, that's fucked up. I feel like that's how people be. So like I said, shout out to the End Time Bible Preachers. This was a question that was posed on their website. And I just feel like, how could you not look at that way? Between the 1%, the people with all the money, and then the politicians, the people with all the power who's in bed with them, and then all the major corporations. That is my third. And I think it's really a trifecta. Like, everybody, it goes hand in hand. Like, these are my three. This is the triangle of whose fault it is. This is the trifecta of whose fault it is. Why is the world in shambles? Why is it fucked up? Because y'all rich motherfuckers have been in control for however long, always making history, making plans, doing whatever the fuck y'all want to do, and this shit is not working. Okay, Amazon sending out what? I order like 50 groceries. They're going to send me 2 overstuffed bags and then 3 nearly empty bags. Great. It's paper bags. It's recyclable. It's continue to be recyclable. All of that sounds really fucking good. All of this instant get it to your door right now. All of this Dollar Tree, use it 3 or 4 times and throw the shit in the trash. All of this disposable shit. Look at what's going on.
Planned obsolescence.
Planned obsolescence. Look at Mobius. Like, this shit don't... And I feel like I learned that word in regard to Apple. And their sketchy ass cell phones. But yes,
cars.
So many things. Yeah. So many things. This planned obsolescence so somebody can get more money. Money that they don't deserve. Money that they didn't... Like, I just can't say it no other way. Don't deserve. Because it's fucking over everybody else. This shit, it doesn't make any sense. Listen, if cherries only grow, I don't even know what the season for cherries. If they only out in the summertime, well then nigga, no. In December, you can't have none. Because if I keep trying to produce them all year long, it's a fucking problem. I feel like not only what Mobius said, what we have done to the earth, we are just now starting to realize we can't come back from the shit. Mm-hmm. Now we have to come up with other contingencies because we can't come back from it.
That's why Elon trying to go to Mars, y'all. He done. He had it. It's over.
Yeah, man. Look, watch the show. I can't. Oh, Expanse on Netflix. Boy, have you touched on Expanse? Mm-mm. Young. Is it the space it's a battle. Yes, it's a space joint. It's a battle between the Belters. Okay, and that's the solar belts that they create that people live on the stations. Yeah. The Martians and the Earthers. Yep. The people on Earth are all on like some type of welfare, and they get like a minimum amount of like water. Yeah. Or something. Like it's so fucking... The way the Earth is on that show is like, okay, we're clearly running out... No, it's not. I think it's on Amazon Prime, my bad. Clearly running out of resources on Earth. Then you got the Belters. Those were the original poor people that was on Earth that was sent to be in the belt, to be in space, to mine, to make money, to create more resources for the people on Earth. And then you got the Martians, the people that the people who had bread and was sent all the way to Mars or went all the way to Mars to create a new civilization in case the Earth civilization falls apart. I was like saying words and it was working for me until it wasn't. Okay. So I feel like it makes a lot of great points of what could possibly happen to this world, to this Earth, as a result of our bad fucking choices. Like that's what the future is. That's what 2070 looks like. People living on Mars and people on Earth starving and struggling. And people being born into outer space and never knowing what it's like to walk with gravity. Like it's insane. So anyway, we got to make better choices. We got to do something different because they're in control and we are getting fucked over. I saw some comments online about what we're dealing with. The 1%, they're waging a war on the elements, carbon, oxygen, and nitrogen. The gimmick is it's a con. Carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, get it? Ha ha ha. And so, I didn't read the whole article, but I just kind of took a couple moments to just think about it, right? Carbon is a chemical element with the symbol C and atomic number 6. What? Okay. I hate when you click on it and it only gives you a brief description. Okay. Carbon is a chemical element with the symbol C and atomic number 6. It is non-metallic and tetravalent. Its atom making 4 electrons available to form covalent chemical bonds. It belongs to group 14 on the periodic table. Carbon makes up only 0.025% of the Earth's crust. What did I say all of that to say? Is that carbon compounds regulate the Earth's temperature and make up the food that sustains us and provide energy that fuels our global economy. So it sounds really important, right? It's important. That's what we've gathered. What else are they waging a war on? Oxygen. Well, we already know that we need oxygen. It ain't no living without oxygen. And even though they didn't put hydrogen in this war comment, we know that you need oxygen and hydrogen to make water. So either way, you're screwed. And then there's nitrogen, which, I don't know a whole lot about this guy. But I believe when we breathe out nitrogen.
Something like that.
So nitrogen is in the soil under our feet, in the water we drink, and in the air that we breathe. Nitrogen is the most abundant element in Earth's atmosphere. Approximately 78% of the atmosphere is nitrogen and is important to all living things. So we breathe in oxygen and we breathe out nitrogen. And just think about it. Capitalizing off these three elements will be tremendous and is already happening. The fact that water is not free is a prime example of that. And so we really got to watch our back, because if we let the 1% control us, then we won't have any more choices. What do I always say and always get it wrong? If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And so, yeah, I got it right that time. That's what Mobius said. And so, is there anything else you want to touch on before I try to end it on a positive note?
Call your mom, be nice.
Oh my gosh, call your mom, this guy. So I just want to end it on, what can we do to make a difference? First of all, we have to recognize that these things are happening around us and can impact us. But of course, if you have children, I feel like you definitely actually took a moment and thought about how this shit might impact your future, because it's not really about your future. You're more so thinking about your children's future. And so we have to teach each other, the people around us, the people that we care about, the people that we vibe with, how to do better. And I said, not wasting water and understanding food, what's in the food, and paying attention to it as well. Because like Mobius noted, we are aware that it costs a lot of water to take care that's all I'm about to say. I was trying to find the right words, like to take care of it. You have to take care of the cow. Then when you want to butcher the cow, like there's a whole process. And I don't think the answer is just get rid of these 1 and 2 foods, animals, or whatever the fuck that's causing the problem. I think there's a better and more efficient way to deal with it. We don't need these many slaughterhouses. Okay, so, there's a lot of back and forth with the food crisis. There's not enough food. There's not enough water. Then there's too much food. Food is constantly going to waste, being thrown away. These are, when we throw away resources, we can't get them shits back. You can't get it back. And so we have to figure out a way to do things that make sense. You don't need to eat every day, all day, 3 meals a day. Fasting has done so many wonderful things for non-religious people and both religious societies and non-religious communities. Come on. There has to be some type of goal or wonderful attained goal or wisdom and true purpose behind why people would choose to starve themselves when they don't need to and not be miserable with their life. Like, there has to be a point, at some point, there has to be something that makes sense. And so what it made me think about is we could choose to make a sacrifice today, or we can be forced into detrimental situations tomorrow. And so that's something I've been kind of vibing in my mind for like the last couple days since Sunday, is that's what I'm going to teach my daughter. That's what I'm going to teach her. If you want whatever you're looking forward to, the greater good, the bigger picture, whatever it is, you got to be willing to make a sacrifice today. And so whether that's fasting a few times a day, a few times a week, like whatever it is, storing up water, not drinking as much water as you would like to drink every single day, like whatever it is, you know, we can only, in our individual homes, we can only make so much of an impact. And I feel like the biggest impact you could make is making sure that you educate the people around you. That's why we drive education so far. We tell you, go watch the Vice documentary, go look up U.S. News, go look up CNN, MSB, NBC. What else? Who else did you get information from? I mean, there's a million sources that we get our information from. Definitely number one, Google. You have to look shit up, cross-reference it, and then cross-reference it again. You know, because there's always some bullshit and some real fake news that's out there to make you think that this shit is not that serious. It's always going to be a TikTok, Instagram pop-up when you reading articles about life or death situations. Don't let that shit change your train of thought and let the ADHD take over your mind and go back and listen to the rap songs or pretend like this shit ain't gonna... Nah. Look at the people in Mississippi. Whatever concert tickets they had planned, them motherfucking shows is canceled. The fuck is you talking about? And the celebrities like, I'm definitely not coming over there, and I'm not sending you the water. That's fucked up. Anyway.
I mean, they might do, like, charity shows and stuff. That's usually what happens. But other than that, probably not.
Yeah, pretty much. So it's up to you, each and every individual person. And so I had a question to ask for the Instagram for anybody who actually paying attention to our 20 subscribers. Thank you and shout out to you. Hit us on the Instagram. It's unknown_unknowns. Instead of a O, it's a 0. And instead of a S, it's a 5. Hit us on the IG and let me know. My question, our final conversation point is, was water conservation taught to you as a kid? Mobius, what do you remember?
Yeah. Times we've had to boil water for advisories. Like I said, the situation with my dad and the water, you know, the people coming around and making sure that you weren't using too much water and stuff. And then just realizing, like, all right, I'm using a lot of water here. Let me chill. Like, all right, cool. It's one of the reasons why I don't like going to the car wash. But it's something you have to do semi-regularly to make sure that, you know...
You ain't fucking up your investment.
Yeah.
So,
but it's a process. It's just stuff you think about. You play video games, you watch movies, what are they fighting over? Water. Resources, but water.
Tank Girl.
What?
Tank Girl.
Yeah.
You got
Battle
I don't know if
LA.
you remember seeing that movie.
Battle Los Angeles. The aliens invaded for our water.
Word. Okay. I don't remember seeing that one.
Battlefield 2043. 2143. The one in 100 years from now, where they're fighting over the water, what's left of the water.
This shit crazy.
Stuff like that.
It's movies and games, and they not lying.
Books.
They not telling stories. Movies, games, books. They not telling stories. This has been on people's minds for hundreds of years, and it's not. I don't want to say it's not gonna get better, but I mean, if we don't know how to reproduce fresh water, then it's not gonna get better. If there's nothing that we can do, this was a natural resource that was given to us, and we squandered it. Like, shit, we got to do something. We got to figure out something. And I don't want to move to Mars. I mean, that's cool. I want to get on the space shuttle, though. I want to get on the space shuttle. And I'm not going to say I don't want to move to, Mars. I'm weary of moving to another planet. But, hey, what do I know? I'm just sipping sauce. Anyway. Shout out to Sauce. If you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. As far as water conservation, I feel like only in regards to bills. I feel like in the brown community, the only time we learned about water conservation is when your mama be like, you running up my water bill. Point blank, period. So shout out to all the mamas watching their water bills. And let's not make it about money no more. Let's make it about we care about the earth. And we know that we got to make a difference and make a change. So you already know what it is. Fuck the 1%. Make sure you teach your kids, your family, how important self-sustaining communities are. Make sure you explain to them what that means. And maybe we'll do an episode about it. You know, we'll probably have to eventually in the next couple months. I mean, the way shit's going, we're going to have to get into the food crisis situation. But, you know, make sure that you're teaching your kids about these things. Like I said, teaching them how to make that sacrifice before they're forced to make a choice that they don't want to make. You know what it is. It's Mobius, Shady Cartier. Thank you for joining us for another one. You know what it is. Hit us up on the IG. Let us know if you bang with it or not. Skirt, skirt.